some more, got the recording going, um, then we'll have our exit ticket. So for those that are on the recording, all we've done is just reviewed the agenda that you see on the screen here. So welcome. All right, well, we shared with you last month that we have new videos up on our Youth in Transition site. And we wanted to share another video with you. We have topic videos. So if you go to this, we have the link in this slide, and I think we'll end up putting the link in the chat as well to this page, but it's the hands-on tools page. And if you scroll down, you'll see share stories. And we have topic-based stories and individual stories. And the topic-based stories includes independent living as one topic. And so just thought it'd be fun for all of us to watch that video here today. And you can see how it relates to our topic today too. So Beth, can you hear it?
The goal for all young people with disabilities is to learn the necessary skills so they can live as independently as possible. Steps include exploring ways to live on your own, such as getting care at home, adapting your home to meet your needs, and knowing how you'll get from place to place. Listen to what these young people have to say about independent living and what they did to prepare for it.
I think independence, to me, it means being able to be self-sufficient in whatever I can.
It's about your life decisions. It's about what's best for you, or how you want to be successful in life. How do you choose to live your life?
When I was young, my idea of independence was complete and utter self-reliance and self-sufficiency. As I've gotten older, I've realized that independence is partially relying on yourself and being self-sufficient, but it's also knowing yourself well enough to be able to ask for assistance when you need it.
To me, independence means you are able to live your own life as you want to, and you're able to make your own decisions and make your own choices.
Independence means paying all my college education bills on time, finding a permanent job that suits my dream career, having a place of my own to live, right next to some railroad tracks, in a safe neighborhood, getting around the Twin Cities on my own, getting my degree in engineering, having a family of my own if I choose to have one.
I think Camilo could live independently. I think he has a skill set to live independently. And now it's just a matter of his desire to live more on his own.
I do have plans to live independently. It's a goal that I'm working towards. Right now, I'm kind of doing more household chores and being responsible for like my own space, like my bedroom, and learning how to be smarter financially as well. I think that's a big part of living independently.
Yeah, I just moved into my own apartment last week.
I currently live in an apartment. It is ideal because, I'm still close to family, friends, and I can still stay involved in the community activities that I'm involved in.
Sam currently lives in an apartment with her PCA, Claire. They have, maybe I should leave Sam that, but they have lots of things in their apartment.
Yeah. I have 2 birds, Claire's 2 birds. She just got like 2 fish. She has a dog, that's a support dog.
I've got plants everywhere. Growing things is really important to me. But it's been a new experience, a new part of my journey, and I'm looking forward to getting used to it. It's been very interesting. I don't have any roommates anymore. I'm completely on my own, in my own place. I can invite people over, and I've had my siblings over to my apartment. And my family has come to visit, and that's been great.
I am preparing to move into my apartment by paying for rent and utilities, and also learning cooking skills and budgeting skills with my independent living services.
And you also practice with your friend, right? Hang out with Mark and go shopping and make some meals. What did you make last week in cooking class?
Pasta. Right now for transportation, I mainly get rides from my family and my friends, or if it's close, I'll walk somewhere or ride my bike. Some steps I've taken to become more independent include just driving more and getting more comfortable with driving on highways and at higher speeds and longer distances, because eventually I do want to have my own car someday too.
Independent living is different for different people. Many of the young people in this video talked about preparing for living independently by learning and practicing skills before they needed to do them on their own. Learning new life skills can help you become more independent. With the right skills, you can feel confident and in control. Hannah said that it's about doing what you can, but also knowing yourself well enough to ask for help when you need it. That's important to keep in mind. Everyone needs help with certain things in life. You can still be independent and make your own decisions, even if you need help along the way.
All right. Well, I think it's a cool video, one of many that we have. And, you know, as you're thinking about one of our domains in our Minnesota Transition Framework being independent living, as you're introducing that topic to young people that you serve or their families, it's a nice backdrop to start that conversation about how we're going to work on independent living skills and why they're important. So something to keep in mind. We wanted to call out a couple of new things in our system. This announcement came out on our E1MN Youth Professional email listserv that you should all be getting. And we're really excited about it. It was a couple of years in the making, and it's really important. It's our E1MN Youth Outcomes Dashboard. So our three departments, Department of Education, Department of Employment and Economic Development, and Department of Human Services, we all want to be looking at data together and looking at how across our system, our young people, the successes they have and where we can improve as a system. So that it's linked here in this slide. I wish we had more time to talk about this today, but I really want to encourage all of you in your monthly meetings together to look at this data. You can look at the data by region, so you can find your region that you're located in, as well as by race and ethnicity. And we're going to be talking more about this data over time. Some primary things that I want to call out just today. So on the positive side, you will see that youth who participate in vocational rehabilitation services or state services for the blind have significantly higher rates of employment 1 year after graduation when compared to the students receiving special education broadly. So statewide, the employment rate is 45% for students in special ed 1 year after high school. And for those that are engaged in VRS and SSB, it was 68%. And then a second thing to note is that youth on waivers, unfortunately, have significantly lower rates of earned income and employment outcomes than their peers. So those two things alone really tells me and should tell all of us the importance of our collaboration together, because number one, if a student needs more assistance, getting them connected to VRS or SSB can definitely help. The data showing that. As well as, you know, we really want to be working together on students with the most significantly impacting disabilities, which includes those that have waivers, and help them with gaining employment. So that's what we want to keep striving for. Another new item I'm excited to announce is that VRS has hired new VRS regional youth specialists. So I've been in this role for a number of years, and I now have a team working with me. The role of our regional youth specialists is to work on both the regional and local level to support VRS staff, as well as staff in other agencies, to help with providing transition and pre-ed services to youth with disabilities. I just want to see if those that are here today could just say hi really quick. You'll probably be getting to know them in the coming months and years. So we divide in VRS our agency into 3 regions. So we have a northern region. Cassie Campbell is the staff person that will be assigned in our northern region as the youth specialist. She's on a maternity leave right now, so she's not able to be here with us, but she'll be back in April. And then we've got the Metro, and we split that into West Metro and East Metro. So for our West Metro, we have Lauren Sadar. Lauren, could you just say hi real quick?
Yep. Hi, I'm Lauren Sadar. A lot of you know me just working with Priettes in the South Minneapolis office. I've been around since like 2018. So a lot of you probably know me already, but I'm Lauren. Hi.
Thanks, Lauren. And then we have for our East Metro, Megan Mulkey. Megan, can you say hi?
Hi, I'm Megan. Good to be here. Some of you might know me. I'm not sure. Can't see everybody. But I'm going to be in the East Metro. So I came out of the North St. Paul office. I was a Priettes rep and then transition counselor for a while and counselor with adults. So excited to work with everybody.
Thank you. And is Ryan here today? He's our youth specialist in the South.
Yeah, I'm Ryan, and yep. So I'm covering all of southern Minnesota, and it's kind of like the first district, if that means anything to anybody, and then a few other areas, sort of in the metro, like Woodbury and a couple other ones. So a little bit in the metro, but yeah, in general, I'll cover the South, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Well, thanks all of you for introducing yourselves. Again, you know, you're going to see more of them over time, and they'll also be helping to support ECBC going forward in the future too. So wanted you to be aware. This next slide is just as an FYI to help all of you that might have missed earlier meetings, just to have the links to all the videos and PowerPoints that we had from all the meetings so far this year. So it's just a reference tool. And then we also have the last bullet on there is our Google Drive, just to remind you that everything gets saved on there and that each ECBC community team has a folder with your workbook in there. So if you have any trouble accessing any of that, feel free to reach out to me and I'll definitely help you out with that. So speaking about workbooks, we want to just take a moment to remind everybody that one big piece of what we do in ECBC as community teams is make goals for the students that we want to be serving who are in 18 to 21 transition programming and ensuring that they're getting competitive integrated work experiences while they're still in school. So as we've talked about this whole year, it's a 3-step process this year to, first of all, make sure your team has solidified, you know who's on your team. You've set monthly meetings, so you're meeting outside of these statewide meetings, and that you've created and entered data, like your goal of how many students that you want to see that will obtain competitive integrated employment, and then that you're tracking that in the student tracker on your workbook. Any questions about that, certainly reach out. And again, we've covered that in earlier meetings, so you could also look at our earlier links to get more information. But we just want to take a moment to look at where we're at right now. We have a spreadsheet in our Google Drive, and I know might be kind of small. I don't know how easy it is for everyone to see on here, and I'm so bad with Google. Here, I think I can increase it a little bit. There. So we have all our teams on here, and just want you to be aware that number one, we're looking at how many teams have completed their community team members tab. So we have 3 tabs, and one is your community team. And we just want to make sure you're entering everyone who's on your team and that you're letting us know when your monthly meetings are. So we're just taking note of the teams that might not have that fully completed. And if you need any help with that, just let us know. And then on the student tracker, it's putting in goals and your progress for their goals. And the first goal is how many students are obtaining that will obtain competitive integrated work experiences this year. So it's your goal. And then we have the progress. And then the second goal is, of all those students, how many of those students have developmental cognitive disabilities? Because that's what the Olmsted subcabinet is asking us to report to them. So we see a number of teams that don't have goals or progress yet. So please, this is really important. If you can please make sure you go into your workbook and enter in goals and progress. You know, there's no judgment. We know you're all doing the best you can, but if you can just get those goals and the progress towards those goals, it's really important for our reporting purposes. I'm just gonna slide down here to the end. What we have here in terms of a goal, with all of our ECBC teams, we have for the first 360 is a goal, which is awesome. And so far, you've all helped 128 students gain that competitive integrated employment. And of that, you have a goal so far of 80 students with developmental cognitive disabilities. And of those, 26 have obtained employment. So we just need to be watching that, because we have a goal of 150 students obtaining competitive integrated employment of those that have developmental cognitive disabilities. So I want to make sure we're getting all that data in there and that you're able to get the credit for what you've done as a team. And if there are any questions about that, please, you can raise your hand or you can reach out to me if you have any questions.
Alyssa, this is Abby Wiley with GCED.
Hi, Abby.
I think I know the answer, but in the workbook, if a student were to have gotten the job but then lose it, we don't take them off of our numbers, do we, or do we?
No, nope.
Yeah.
And if you look at our first PowerPoint from the year, you know, I had the slide earlier. I can go back to it just to remind you if you need to look back at it. In our kickoff video, if you look in the PowerPoint, we had the definitions of what counts. And a student just needs to attend one full shift. It's pretty nice that way in terms of the data. So if they lose the job, you can still keep them as having counted in obtaining. If they gain another one, it wouldn't be like another check, but we're hoping that they certainly can get another job then, if that helps.
Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I think I'm passing it to Beth.
You are indeed. Thanks. All right. So it is time for us to just really get into and talk about the transition framework and all of the work around that. So just remember that the new Minnesota transition framework, this lovely graphic and all the things in there, really defines the high quality transition programming for youth with disabilities and people who support them. And that we are working in the ECBC in our teams this year to really test it out, find out, you know, how it works, what needs to be refined, what needs to be added or changed. And then next year, we'll really get into getting the word out to everyone and all the professionals across the whole state. So it's brand new and we're trying it out. And we need your feedback. So at the beginning of each meeting, we are asking for feedback on how it went for you using the framework and the toolkit in the past month since we last met. Actually, 2 months in December. I forgot we didn't meet in January. So right now we're going to just take 5 minutes for each of you to complete the survey, which Emily just put in the chat. So if you could click on that survey link and just go in and let us know your feedback about how you use the toolkit, share your experiences, what did you like best, what needs improvement, all of that. That would be fantastic. So we're gonna let you take 5 minutes to do that right now. And we'll let you know when your 5 minutes is up. Okay. A few more seconds. Okay, thank you all so much for filling that out. It's super helpful to get your feedback, and we do take a look at it, and we will talk about the December feedback from the survey in just a minute. But right now, we are going to hear from one of our ECBC community teams about how they are using the framework and the toolkit in the work that they're doing. So we're going to hear from Erin Dorman from Benton Stearns Education District. So are you here, Erin?
I am.
Great, thanks.
Hi there. So Benton Stearns is our first year as an ECBC team. We are specifically working with the Foley district. We have 6 school districts in our organization, and Foley is one of our member districts with roughly an enrollment of around 1,200 total students. 2 members of our high school team are working with us in this group, as well as the special education supervisor assigned to Foley. We really have spent a lot of time this year focusing on how to learn more about our partners in our work. I think our monthly meetings with our partners has been most valuable. We spend a lot of time just trying to learn what each other is responsible for, what the collective barriers might be to each of our agencies being able to do what the other partners think should be done. And I think we all experience that sometimes when one of the partners needs to say, we can't do that, we get frustrated. And the reality is we all have to say that at some point. So we've really invested a lot of time in trying to figure out what do we do and why can we and why can't we, and how do we get, work more closely together to understand those differences. As far as the toolkit itself, we really have just been doing a surface level look at the toolkit. I'll be totally honest about that. We all have agreed that it is so big. There's so many features to it, and which is really exciting, but at the same time can be very overwhelming. One of the things that we have coordinated to occur this month, it's February 1st today. We finished January, all is good. But later this month, Alyssa and Lindsay will be joining us in Foley to review the toolkit and disability hub with the members of the high school and intermediate school team. We really feel like they need to see firsthand what this is about, and we honestly could not do it justice as a small group because we are so new to learning about it as well. One of the things that we've talked to Alyssa and Lindsay about that, is how do we create some sort of a training system that breaks it into parts like you guys are doing for us today, with intentional time to explore it in the moment. I think we all agree that if we tell people, hey, check this out, and we'll talk about it later, their days get full and they may take a quick look while they're doing something else. So really wanting to design a way to support our staff in learning about the toolkit with an adequate amount of time. Lastly, I think the other thing that we really are trying to focus on is one of the barriers to many families accessing supports is the timing of it. It's really hard for some families to anchor the reason for the support when their kids are younger and they don't know what job exploration is. They aren't even thinking about independent living yet. And then they get to high school and it creates all sorts of hoops and obstacles that delay the process. So we also are inviting our intermediate school and our basically 4-8 building team to join us when Alyssa and Lindsay are present, so that they also get a chance to hear the vocabulary, see the process, start to understand why it is important to start conversations early. No, we're not asking them to do transition with a 5th grader, but we are asking them to start having those conversations with parents sooner. So if there's a need for an updated adaptive behavior scale, if there's a need for an updated cognitive evaluation, that there's more likelihood that it's happening in the school environment as well, because it's educationally necessary to do so. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, that is great. Thank you. Yeah, it's super exciting to hear you say that, starting earlier and just including them, like, right, we don't have expectations of you doing it, but I think that is great. Yeah, and so thank you so much, Erin. Thanks. Yeah, that collaboration, figuring out who does what when and who's responsible for what, and just all of it. It's really great. Thanks for sharing.
You bet.
All right, so now we're going to talk about what we heard from you from the December meeting. So we asked you to fill out a survey back in December. So this is what the kind of the themes of what we heard from that feedback. So many of you appreciated the wealth of information in the toolkit and the way it was organized. And pretty much everybody mentioned kind of, it's a lot to take in, just like you said, Erin. Yep, it's a lot. There's a plethora of information in there, a lot of resources. So navigating your way around can be a challenge. And so help easing into it is what we heard. And so that's what we're doing here in the ECBC is kind of taking it bit by bit, chunk by chunk. And that'll help us also to roll it out on a larger scale and help others as well. So then the other thing we heard is that some are starting to review it in their teams. So like Erin just said, within your teams, figuring out where are the important pieces where you need to go and find a resource or find some information. How do you start using it? The other thing I should mention is we are talking about creating trainings, and we've done that for the work toolkit for the adult kind of process. And so how do we also have that kind of bite-sized training available? So more to come on that as well. And then also, a lot of you said that you're using and appreciating using the vault or my vault. So that is great. Starting to figure out how to integrate that into what you're doing. So thank you for all of that feedback. The other thing we wanted to talk about is the exit ticket feedback. So in December, we also had the exit ticket like we always do. And so the feedback from that was really that it was overall positive feedback about the ideas in the tools. A lot of people mentioned that the inventory was useful in particular. So we heard you with that, and we agree. That is a really helpful tool. And then people like the IEP, the demonstration, and would appreciate a video demonstrating that they could refer to back to later. All right, we do love the changes that you tell us about, and we take them into consideration. So, all right, I think I'm passing it back to you, Alyssa.
Yes, back to me. Thank you, Beth. And yes, thank you, Erin, for sharing your experience so far. It's really fun to hear from our teams. All right, so now we're going to start talking about the youth planning process. Again, we have been breaking this 6-step process down each month that we meet. So it can be more like bite-sized for all of you. And that is our plan. We've already been talking about our rollout next year when we're going statewide with this, and that we will have training available in those bite-sized pieces. So thank you for your feedback. It's really helping us to know what works and what you need. So let's, just as a reminder, so our structure with ECBC, a big piece of it is working on helping students gain competitive integrated work experience. And then the other piece we've been working on is the transition framework, and in particular, this 6-step youth planning process. So this is just a screenshot from that page in the toolkit. And as a reminder, these are the 6 steps that we've outlined each month. And so far in the November and December meetings, we talked about steps 1 through 3. And then in the February and March meetings, we will be talking about steps 4 and 5, which is implement plans and track progress. But before we get into this month's topic, the 2 topics, let's review steps 1 through 3 and just remind you of what we've talked about so far. So number one is that we've asked that each ECBC community team select at least 2 youth who have interagency members on their support team to complete this youth planning process with this year. So hopefully most of our teams have already done that, and that you've been working with at least 2 students through this process. And then in November, we talked about step 1, which is build the team. So this is a recap of what we talked about then. So at the beginning of each school year, part of this process is working with the youth and their family to identify that youth support team. So who's on their team and who isn't but should be, just taking stock of that. And that includes internally within the school, and then bringing in other partners, in particular if they need VRS or SSB support, as well as, do they need that waiver county case management support, and helping families be introduced to that. Step 1 is about also preparing the youth and family for the transition process, ensuring that all team members have a MyVault account, and then helping the young person list all their contacts, who's on their team in their MyVault account, and then sharing that with the team. Step 2 is identifying transition and pre-ET's strengths and needs for that young person. And so that is using that inventory. That's what we spent a lot of time on in December, is using the inventory to identify those strengths and needs, as well as what are the priorities for this year, because a student might have a lot of needs. And the beauty of transition when we start in grade 9 is that it gives us a lot of time to build each year, and maybe you don't cover every single topic that they have a need in, but you're breaking it down year by year and building on that. And then, as always, a reminder to upload important documents like the inventory, helping the youth to upload that into their MyVault account, and then sharing it with their team. We also talked in December about creating plans. So once you complete that inventory and you have identified the needs of the student, each partner on that team can then talk through together who's going to do what to support those transition needs. And then, because we all have plans between the school with the IEP, with VRS and SSB with our employment plans, as well as the waiver with their community services and support plan, we can all add the items that we are going to be addressing onto our plans. And that's how our plans can be coordinated. And again, to remind everyone, those plans, it would be really important for that young person to have those plans uploaded into their MyVault account. So helping them do that, and then sharing those with the team. We shared this table as well about when we were talking about plans. And so we have the IEP, the employment plan, and the CSSP. And the thing to take away from this slide is we all identify goals on our plans, and we all identify steps to reach those goals. So our plans might look different, but we all have goals and steps to reach those goals. And that, again, is what we can talk through together, and talking through, what goals am I going to put on my plan with the young person and their family. So we're all really aware of that. And then MyVault, this is just a reminder again, using MyVault, helping the young person get their contact information in there, as well as uploading and sharing documents. Okay. So now we're going to move on. That was just a recap of what we've covered so far this year with ECBC. I know that was a quick recap. Again, you can watch the videos or review those PowerPoints from our past meetings if you need a reminder. But we're going to move on to steps 4 and 5 in both February and March. So we're going to talk first about implementing plans, and then we're going to talk about tracking progress. So a step 4, implementing plans, we're going to be using the support youth section of the Youth in Transition Toolkit. I'm going to be going into the site in a little bit, but I'm going to show you some slides first. And so the first thing I want to remind all of you of is our lovely graphic. And to denote, we have learning expectations in 4 domains, and these are those 4 domains again. So we have independent living, post-secondary education and training, employment, and best life. And these learning expectations with those 4 domains is really the most robust portion of our whole toolkit. So when you go into the support use section of the toolkit, you will see that there too, it is divided into those 4 learning expectation domains. So they're listed here in the left-hand navigation, as well as when you click on support youth, this is the page you get, and you have all 4 of those domains here. And then you can click into each one to see all the topics and subtopics that are in there. So this month in February, we're going to be reviewing 2 of the 4 domains, My Best Life and Independent Living. And then in March, we're going to have a similar meeting, but we're going to be focusing on employment and post-secondary education and training. So we'll get through all 4 domains in the next 2 months. So let's start with My Best Life. When you click on that link, it takes you to a page where you see all of the topics. So this, if you click on My Best Life in the left-hand navigation, this is the page you get, and you're going to see all the topics listed here. What I have on this slide is I just typed them up here as well. Note that there's one topic here in My Best Life that also has subtopics. So advocating for a best life, there's these 5 subtopics listed: core advocacy concepts, disability awareness, disability rights, mentoring experiences, and leadership experiences. So in essence, so you really have, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 topics, it's 1, 2 plus 5, and then this topic. So that's where all of the core information is going to be in the domain of My Best Life. So when you click on this advocating for a best life, which is a topic that has the subtopics, it takes you to another page with all the subtopics. So just trying to wrap our head around how we have all the pages set up. Okay, so, and then the other domain again that we're focusing on today is independent living. So this domain is even more robust than the My Best Life domain. So this has 5 topics that are listed here. This is on the main page of independent living, but all of the topics have subtopics. So there's quite a bit of information in independent living. So daily life has 9 subtopics, community living has 2, and so forth from there. Okay. And so when you click on a topic or a subtopic, you come to a page that looks like this. So every page is organized the same way. It's very consistent structure. So on the top of each page is a short description of what that topic or subtopic is about. And then you're going to see 2 accordions. The first says learning stages. And that's where you're going to see those 4 learning stages of awareness, exploration, preparation, and implementation defined for each topic or subtopic. The second accordion says pre-ETS category. So remember that VRS and SSB programs have the 5 pre-ETS categories that we have. So we want to help everyone align each transition topic with which pre-ETS category it is, so that we're always aligning all of our language. And then at the bottom of every page, there's a learn section. And that's where we have resources where professionals can learn more about the topic or subtopic, and then do. And that's a section where professionals can find activities they can do with the youth. So that's how every topic and subtopic is set up. So also keep in mind that the structure within the topic and subtopic pages aligns with the transition and pre-ETS inventory. So here we have a screenshot of one page of the inventory. So you'll see that the domain, one of our 4 domains, is independent living. It's at the top of the page. And then we have all the topics listed from there. So like here's the topic, one of the topics, daily life. And then if there are subtopics, they're listed in there. And then we also have on the inventory those 4 learning stages. So you see how all of this kind of lines up. I'm just going to real quickly, I'm just going to take us to the site just to show you again what I just showed you, because I know you've all said it's helpful when we take you through the site, and I know I'm getting a little behind on time here, so forgive me if I go a little too quick. But so what we're talking about this month is support youth. So you click on support youth, and this is the main page you get. And then our 4, I'm going to reduce this a little bit. And that's hard to see, but our 4 domains are here: best life, independent living, and so on. And then when you click on one, I'm clicking on independent living, then you're going to see all the topics that are in there. And then like daily life is one of our topics that has subtopics. So you'll see all the subtopics. And then when you click on a topic or subtopic, it's going to take you to a page that gives you more information. So it's a description. You have the learning stages for, defined for that topic, which pre-ETS category it fits under, and then information on how to learn more, and then activities you can do with the youth. So that's how it's all set up in the support youth section. Oh no. Took me all the way to the beginning again. Apologize for that. Okay. Are there any questions about that? The other piece I just want to touch on today. So again, we're talking about implementing plans. So implementing them would be a part of implementing can be using the toolkit to help you with getting more information about a topic or subtopic, learning more and learning more about activities you could do with the youth. And then number 5, we want to talk about tracking progress. So I'm just going to say a few words about that. So this slide I reviewed with you earlier. It indicates, again, that schools, VR programs, and waivers all create plans, and within our plans, we include those goals and steps to reach those goals. But I added another row here that says track progress, because that's another thing that we all do together. We all are required to track progress when we have goals and those steps to reach the goals. So schools have progress reports. VRS and SSB, as well as waiver case managers, have case notes, as well as they get reports from providers. So we all need to track that and have it in our case records. So this is a question, and this is where we're going to really want your feedback. In a moment, we're going to go into breakout sessions, but we want you all to be pondering, how can we all be using those 4 learning stages of awareness, exploration, preparation, and implementation within our progress reporting? Because if we're all looking at progress reporting similarly, that really can help with the whole team understanding how that young person is progressing with those transition services. So be thinking about that, because we're going to ask you to talk about that a little bit in your breakout session. All right, so speaking of breakout time, so this is what we're going to do. In a moment, you're going to be randomly placed into a breakout group. And so when you go into your group, you're going to see a group number. It's going to be 1 through 20. So take note of what group number you are, because what I'm going to show you here, and we're going to put the link, I'm going to put the link into the chat, but I'm going to show you the page that we all need to be working on together for this breakout session. So we're going to talk about My Best Life, that domain first. So you're going to get to a Google page like this. And then when you scroll down, you're going to see each group. We're going to have group number 1, and then you can scroll down, group number 2, and so forth. So find your group number. And then when you find your group number, let's go to, let's say, group number 3 here. So every group is assigned a topic or subtopic. So group number 3 is assigned self-awareness in the support use section of the toolkit. This shows you how you can find it, kind of the breadcrumbs to get there, but you have the link to that page. So What you're going to need to do is assign somebody on your team to click on that link and then show your screen when you're in the breakout room so that you all can be reviewing that topic or subtopic together. And then you're going to ask somebody else to be taking notes for you because we really want the notes in this document. So we'll all be in the same document taking notes. So please write in your group to participant names. So introduce each other. And then we ask you to review that page. So start with reviewing the description at the top of the page, which is, and then as well as looking at those learning stages and the learn and the do. So look at the full page and then discuss what stands out. What do you like on this page? How might you use the information on this page in providing services to youth? And we ask that you think about each role, school staff, VRS and SSB staff, as well as waiver case managers. And then going back to those learning stages, how might you track a youth's progress within this topic using the learning stages? So again, think about each role from school, VR programs, and waiver. And then finally, what is missing or what would you like to change? So that's what we're going to ask you to do. Are there any questions about going into breakout sessions right now? So again, you're going to be assigned a number 1 through 20. So then somebody's going to need on your group to find that your group number on this Google sheet. And I think we got the Google document. Emily has that in there. Looks like we got this. So what we were going to do today is go into My Best Life and independent living. I think we might only have time this month to go into My Best Life. And while we're on break, while you're in breakout sessions, we'll decide if we have time to go into the independent living, or maybe we have to put that next month. But either way, we're going to focus on My Best Life, and we're going to give you 20 minutes to have that discussion. So Emily, are we ready for breakouts? Yes. So you should see your breakout session coming up here. She's working on that. There they are. And go forth, 20 minutes. Thank you. If anyone's having trouble, let us know. We'll do our best to help you. Great. Welcome back, everybody, from the breakout rooms. I hope you had some good conversation. Two things that I neglected to remember or say. First is I apologize. Our timing got off today, so the meeting went a lot faster than we anticipated. So I apologize for not giving you a break. So hopefully you took one if you needed it. We're going to be done with our main session here at 2:30. So we're almost there. The second thing that I wanted to note, and you might have seen this in some of your topics or subtopics, is that we realize that there are gaps in the learn and the do, and we want to be gathering that. And that was a part of why we had you go into those breakout sessions, not only to review the topic and review what's in there, but to give us some information. So I hope you all had some good conversation and maybe had some ideas of other resources we could use. We would like to hear from a couple of teams just to hear how your conversation went today. I'm wondering if we have any volunteers, of anyone that would like to share what you talked about in your group. You can just raise your hand or just say hi. Is anyone brave out there?
Alyssa, I can share. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ellen. Thank you.
see you and I can't turn my video on. I'm kind of frozen as far as, but if you can hear me, I will just talk. So we were in group 20 and planning for a best life was our area. And support youth, my best life, planning for a best life. And Amy, I'm sorry, Amy, I'm going to butcher your last name. Elverum, she's a VRS counselor. And then Sherry Turcotti, sorry, Sherry, for that. She is a VRS counselor. So the three of us were together. We just really liked the definitions listed at the beginning. I mean, the PLP, the IEP, and the 504 plan, I think that's something that constantly needs reviewing of what those three things are. We liked the definitions of the VRS and SSB, and then we really liked the videos, or we saw that those stood out, I guess. What we really liked is the short, brief, to the point descriptions, not a lot of text. And then we were talking a lot about accessibility for all of our families. And so we were curious to know what the reading level of this website might come out at if it were tested. And just making sure everyone had access to the information on there. So that was the discussion we had around that. How might we use the information on this page? We talked about, I had said I would, in trying to get families to use the vault and explaining why, I thought the video might be the best place to start there for a resource. And then Amy also mentioned that just the ability to use this after they're done with school, and that the documents are stored there, and this resource will be there. It's not school related, I guess. It's forever, lifetime related. So that's pretty awesome. How might you track a youth's progress within this topic using the learning stages? Looking at the different modules. So in my vault, planning for housing, look at the pre-ETS inventory and determine the priorities, and then help them choose the modules that will meet those priorities. And then after they've completed them, just to review how well they did on the modules and to determine maybe if some reteaching or more instructions necessary once those modules were completed. And then the last thing we talked about what might be missing, and there's so much there, we're just not sure, but we did talk about assistive technology, and we're wondering how much of that's built in. Like, would they have access to a free version of Read and Write? So as they're completing some of this stuff, if they're needing assistance with the writing piece of things, would they have access to that? So.
Wonderful. Sounds like it was a really good, thorough, robust conversation. Love it. It's fun to talk to people from across the state. So thank you so much, Ellen, for that. We have time for one other group, if there's anyone else that would be willing to report out on how your conversation went. I am also curious about the tracking the progress, if any of you had some good conversation about that. Anybody? Jenna, are you going to be brave? Thank you.
I can be brave. No, my group, we talked a little bit about self-advocacy. And I don't have the names in front of me, so I apologize of my group members, but they were wonderful. And one question we did have is that we were kind of talking about My Vault and getting into that, and when the students create their accounts and everything. And that's on my to-do list with our students. We just haven't hit it quite yet, but it's on my to-do list. We're curious about how, when we track on there, is there a way to have our students done certain things on My Vault, and how do we track as educators or case managers or county social workers to see if they've done things? Is that something that was like a big question that we had? Everything looked great, but it was just something that came out. So I'm curious about that.
Great question. Yeah, I can take that one. So because the vaults are individual vaults, right? We want people to be able to control their own vault and not get into each other's vaults. We want to be really careful about that. But there is a way that you can, students can share information with you when they say, I've done this thing, they can say, share with my team members. And they can choose which team members they share with. So I don't know that we have time to go into that right now today to show you how to do that, but there is, and maybe we can include it in next month or in an email in the meantime, but there is a way that they can share it with you when they've completed it, but there's not a way to like put a tracker on or to say, okay, this is automatically going to happen when they complete it, it's going to share with their team. So it would be something that the students would have to do themselves.
Or I guess, and that makes total sense because we kind of talked about that security piece too. Is there and maybe I've missed this and maybe you stated it because I've kind of been in and out with students here, but is there a document that kind of shows what things that they can do in My Vault? And maybe this is for a later conversation too, but just curious if there's a checklist or something to know as we kind of go through. Again, it could be a later conversation too, but just curious about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. There isn't right now, just because the way the vault is laid out, the vault activities are kind of or the planning paths, sorry, are kind of laid out. And so it's kind of, they're all there together. So we don't have a specific checklist, although that's not a bad idea either. So these are the kinds of things like hearing your feedback and getting ideas are really great. So I think that's another one we can kind of take back. But if you look in the vault, so there's, the contacts and the files and stuff, what they can do, but then there's also the planning paths section, and that really has activity by activity, what is in there and available for them to do. So you could make your own if you wanted to go in there and just see, okay, here are the things.
And once I get into it too, I think, and I plead a little bit of ignorance because I haven't totally gotten into it. I've done some trainings, but just need to dive into it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. Thank you, Beth. Well, we're getting close to the end here. So I see some things in the chat and we'll get back to some of those things, but we've got 5 minutes left for now. So I'm going to share my screen so we can finish up on time here, but we'll make sure we can address more things next month too. So take it from here, Beth.
All righty. So I'm just going to kind of fly through this last bit. We really want to remind you that based on steps 4 and 5 of so the implement plans and track progress that we've reviewed today. So this is kind of what you'll need to do with next steps. So with 2 or more students that your ECBC team is supporting through the youth planning process, helping them first to make sure that the team is using the support youth section of the toolkit to help you implement that transition and pre-ed services for the youth. And then secondly, that all team members will want to use the learning stages as part of tracking the youth progress within the transition and pre-ed services. Right? So remember that engaging in this process with these youth that you're testing out will help know how the process works. So then next month, we'll want to hear from you on what works and what doesn't work, and any other resources or information that you need that will help you. And so with that being said, we ask that you take time this month to get yourself familiar with all the topics and the subtopics in that best life path. We also we were going to do the independent living as well. If you want to dig into that, that would be great. But we'll bring that up next time as well, since we ran out of time for that one. So start using that path. And then also just a reminder to give feedback as when you're using the toolkit. If you give us feedback up on the top of every page, there's that little give feedback link. And you can let us know right there what's missing, what can be changed, what would be helpful to have. And that comes right to the development team. So it's a really great way for all of us to be able to see what kind of feedback you have on that. All right. And so finally, don't forget to update your workbooks. It's really important that get your information in there. It helps us a lot. It helps us be able to report on a lot of different things and just helps us to see progress. And no matter where you're at, even if you haven't, accomplished everything that you've wanted to accomplish yet this year. So All right, I think we have a minute maybe or so for any outstanding questions. Anybody have any questions in the chat? No. Okay, we'll go to the next. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So the remainder of the year, remember the ECBC schedule is here for March. We're gonna talk about the other paths. Sorry, the independent living we'll talk about next time as well. Plus implementing the plans and tracking your progress again with employment and post-secondary education and training. And then in April, we're going to talk about engaging families, which I know is a big one. And then in May, we're going to talk about using the framework at the system level to reflect and celebrate. So we'll have our kind of what did we do and what did we do well. All right. So here are the dates for the upcoming meetings. Make sure they're on your calendars. And thank you for joining us. And we are going to also, we have a survey with just 3 simple questions. If you could please click on here and take that survey as you exit. We really appreciate your feedback and thank you so much for your participation today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.